China becoming increasingly involved in the conflict with Iran by pouring billions into infrastructure, energy, and development projects throughout that region. Reuters is reporting that Beijing is pushing for new talks between the U.S. and Iran to restart diplomacy. President Trump warning against China's involvement, saying any interference would have serious consequences. Joining me now is Gatestone Institute Senior Fellow Gordon Chang. Gordon, it's great to have you here on set. A lot to go through this morning. How do you see this playing out, especially these comments from President Trump that he does not want China involved in the conflict with Iran?
Yeah, President Trump is trying to entice the Chinese and the Russians not to get involved. And this was after Secretary of War's Hegseth saying that China was enabling Iran. And Hegseth was right about that. Trump tried to soft play that. I don't know how the Chinese are going to react, but certainly they want us to see us humiliated there. They want to protect Iran, their proxy. So they want that oil out of the region as well. So they're going to be really and very difficult right now. And I think Trump's going to have his hands full, especially when Xi Jinping comes to Washington on the 24th of September.
Right. And again, if that meeting happens, but also, Ryan, I mean, this is a market story because, you know, the Iranian supreme leader and others have said that they've sold billions of dollars in oil, even during this conflict, and most of it to China.
Absolutely. But I mean, the question becomes right now you have oil. It was all the way up to $90 a barrel. We know that China is oil dependent. So what is the incentive here for China to say, hey, we want to get out of this conflict, too? I know they're an ally of Iran, but clearly their strategic reserves, they're starting to use up their strategic reserves as well. So where does China stand on this? Because clearly they want lower oil prices. And they don't want to buy from Russia at much higher prices.
Yeah. You know, the Chinese have a lot of conflicting goals in this. But I think their number one is to see the United States tied down and humiliated, because that has been consistent Chinese foreign policy. And yes, their economic interests may go against that, but Xi Jinping doesn't consider economics to be the most important thing.
Wow.
He sees the competition and the struggle against the United States as the defining goal for him.
Let me ask you something. There's a report in the Journal this morning, and it's about, you know, the president pushing for a pause with the Iran strikes. But the headline is, officials weigh dwindling air defense stocks. And one of the things that the Journal points out this morning is that if there were a conflict with China, which would be more of a true adversary from a military perspective than Iran is, and plus we've destroyed most of Iran's navy, et cetera, that we don't have the munitions right now to deal with China. Is that a threat, do you think, right now because of what they're doing militarily?
It certainly is a consideration, and the American people should be upset that the series of presidents have allowed this situation to occur. But clearly, yes, that is, I'm sure, weighing very heavily, because we hear the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Kane, talk about this, at least privately. And Hegseth says, no, don't worry about it. But I don't think very many people believe the Secretary of War on this one.
Interesting that you say that, Gordon. Let's talk about AI, because the expanding influence of China in general is prompting concerns among a lot of our allies in the Indo-Pacific, not just in AI, but again, with the munitions story. The New York Times is questioning whether America and its partners are doing enough to counter in general, the ambitions of China. And they're saying that there's, again, a historic shift is underway in Asia, is the headline. Is that the case right now?
Yeah, we're not doing enough. I mean, China can compete against us because they get American chips. They get Blackwell chips surreptitiously. They're getting the H-200s because of the permits that the Trump administration is issuing. And, by the way, we allow Americans to use Chinese AI models, which means the Chinese suck all this data out of the U.S., as if the Chinese aren't taking enough data from us already. So the Trump administration could do a lot more. They should do a lot more. But, you know, we're still ahead. You know, we worry about the AI cash burn, which you were just talking about a few moments ago. The Chinese are worried about being permanently behind, and we shouldn't be helping them right now.
It's interesting because, you know, Beijing is accelerating developments of their own AI chips, and there's a lot of commentary about this out this morning. Chinese AI models are gaining traction in the United States. And, you know, obviously we're concerned about too much regulation on AI from a U.S. perspective. China doesn't care about that. President Trump said the AI race will be critical to the future of our nation. Watch the president here.
I think up until this point, AI is probably the biggest thing anybody's ever seen. And whoever wins that race is probably going to win, period. And again, we're leading China, and we want to keep it that way. President Xi's coming over on September 24th. And we talked about it when I was over in Beijing. and we'll be talking about it again.
Because they've got this model, it's called Kimi K3. And that is the big concern if you talk to technology experts right now.
Yes, but we learned from the White House on Wednesday that Kimi K3 was actually distilled from Anthropic's Fable. And, you know, we're Americans, we're very slow learners because on January 20, 2025, you had DeepSeek, took trillions of dollars off of stocks in our markets. And we learned that that was distilled from ChatGPT-4, which is a violation of OpenAI's terms of service. So they're continuing to steal, and we're not doing anything to protect it. And I think the Trump administration's got to do something, especially before September 24th, because talking to Xi Jinping ain't going to do it.
Yeah, well, and look, President Trump did the right thing. I mean, there's a kill switch, in particular with Anthropic's Fable 5. That's the jailbreak story that we had from last week, the chatbot. And he rightly killed it because the minute that that's out there, China's grabbing the data, and we know that. And the president's on it. But, you know, there's multiple threats from this country, right? Their federal records are shedding new light on their efforts. This is the Chinese efforts to expand influence inside of our country. There's this new report, here it is, detailing how Beijing uses lobbying, media, and other channels to potentially foment division here in the United States. Are we not paying enough attention to this?
We pay some attention, but not enough. I mean, that report was $100 million last year for these FARA, Foreign Agents Registration Act filings. And that's a lot of money, but that's just the tip of the iceberg because you have Neville Roy Singham, who doesn't file under FARA. That was $591 million over 9 years from 2017 through last year. And he was surreptitiously sending it through banking networks on 5 continents. And a lot of that money was ending up in the U.S.
Real quick, Paula, your generation, I think, is the generation that we worry about because you're so dependent on TikTok.
Look, it's a concern.
I mean, it's true. You're getting all your information.
I know firsthand how dangerous the country of China is.
Yeah.
A lot of people my age, I can't say the same thing. I used to work in tech. People were showing me these Chinese models. They're so great. I'm like, guys, why are we putting the data in here, allowing China to get ahead of us? It is a big concern, absolutely, and something I'm watching and we need to do more about.
Yeah, well, I mean, your generation, but not you, obviously, Paula. I hope that didn't come out wrong. But certainly, that's where I worry about the information that's getting so convoluted, really. Gordon, it's great to have you on set. Thank you for being with us this morning.